Hey friends, welcome back. I'm Allison if you're new here, and today we are making over our 1960s kitchen. This has some peeling vinyl, lots of masking tape holding it together, terrible paint jobs, lots of grime, wallpaper, just everything that you can do wrong in a kitchen nowadays is in here. I'm sure this place was like the bee's knees when it was first built in 1960s, but it's definitely time for some fresh paint in here at least. Now, I do have big plans, hopefully one day, maybe like a year or two down the line, to just tear all of this out and start fresh in this kitchen, new cabinetry, a new layout. All of that is coming one day, but since that's a ways away, I decided to use all of the abundant free time that I do not have as a mother of two to completely DIY makeover this space. So first thing I am tackling, my toddler was actually at her grandparents' house for the weekend, so it was me, Christian, and our baby girl, and she naps a lot more than the toddler does, so I used this time to go and paint all of our cabinet doors. The hardest part of this project was actually taking all of the hinges off and all of the hardware and like getting all of the screws out.
Who are you and what are we? Baby, you are really hurting me. I know you play your part, but baby, it's breaking my heart. How could I know? If you don't need me, just let me know and I'll go. I know you play your part, but baby, it's breaking my heart. How could I know? If you don't need me, just let me know.
While I was taking the doors down, I had a post-it note system going, so each drawer and door had a label to it. That way I wouldn't be playing the guessing game of which cabinet door goes where when I try to put it all back together, and that definitely saved me time in the long run. So if you're taking apart your kitchen like this and trying to put it back together, labeling things with masking tape or a post-it note or whatever you need to do was definitely worth the time.
How could I know? If you don't need me, just let me know and I'll go. I know you play your part, 'cause I go, but baby, it's breaking my heart. How could I know? If you don't need me, just let me know and I'll go.
Now the hinges in this kitchen are kind of unique. They are actually on the outside of the cabinets. I think they're called like H brackets. You can find them on Amazon, but they definitely are not made or as common as they used to be. But we are going to just keep those hinges the same. I didn't want to spend the time or the money to buy all new hinges and like realign all of these doors. All of the holes that were previously drilled, we're going to be saving a lot of time in that. So I'm going to keep the hinges and replace the hardware. But with all of that taken off of these cabinet doors, it was time to scrub them clean. They really needed this. It's just a great way to prep any surface for paint, is just starting with a clean one. We're also going to go in with some wood filler and fill in all of the handle holes. I'm going to be very careful not to fill in the hinge holes because those are going to go back in the same spots, but all of the handles and pulls I'm replacing had different widths and sizes, so I needed something to fill in all of these spaces. I also should add that because this is not a forever project, I did not do every single step that's recommended for refinishing cabinets. It's recommended to be sanding in between paint coats. When you use a wood filler like this on some gouges or any previous drill holes, it's advised to sand and do multiple layers. Like, there's so much extra prep you can do to make this a much more professional looking project that I forwent, that I didn't do because it's not a forever project. I'll show in a little bit in the video how like the paint in this kitchen's already like pretty thick and runny, and like I can't make a bad paint job look any better with more paint, if that makes sense. So I'm not going to sweat the small stuff on this project and like freak out about it getting super perfectly professionally done, because honestly anything's better in this kitchen, and I will have the chance to completely renovate and gut this kitchen one day, and that's where I'm going to be spending all of my energy and resources. So until that day comes, I'm kind of cutting a few corners in this kitchen makeover. Now to clean up the wood filler, I just took a wet rag and wiped it down. This is a great hack if you don't want a ton of sanding dust laying around your house from this project. This also works great if you're doing any spackle on your walls. And yes, I just said I didn't do a ton of prep work for this job, but I've never regretted priming before a paint project, so I'm going in with some kills, and just bear with me. On the actual cabinet boxes, it doesn't look like a huge difference with the paint, but when we get to painting the cabinet doors, it's gonna be a like night and day difference. Now, it may not be the prettiest design in the kitchen, but I loved that none of these cabinets had any molding or trim work, or it wasn't a shaker style, because I could just roll this paint on so fast. Also, sorry if you're hearing my voice catch. I don't know what is going on. I'm over here just coughing like a maniac in between all of these audio takes, so excuse me if you hear my voice catching at all.
Fixing my strut, always prepared, you never know who shows up around the corner. Maybe it's that director. Oh, I can sing, I can dance, I can learn the smooth moves. I would do anything you ask me to do. Jump out on the stage, get locked up in a cage, director. Glitter and it's such a glamour. Wanna impress me, show me real amour. Flower curtains, rose petals on my bed. I'm your sweetheart. Every new day a new chance for success. The sooner the better, 'cause I'll be the best. But I draw the line.
The next morning, I was ready to go in with paint. Another place you can definitely do more in this project to have a better finish is to buy more expensive paint, but if you know me, you know I just love me some good Home Depot paint, so I went there, asked for their trim and, what's it called? Trim and cabinet paint. Cabinets. We're painting cabinets, Allison. Order their trim and cabinet paint. They do mostly bare colors. That's like Home Depot's brand, but they will color match anybody. So I asked them to color match, I think it's Benjamin Moore's Creamy White. This color of kitchen cabinets has been all over my Pinterest board, and I was so excited. It's definitely more of like an aged yellowy white. So I wouldn't recommend this if you want like a super modern kitchen, or if you're like not going for a warmer white tone. It definitely pulls a little bit yellow in my kitchen, which I really like.
Jump out on the stage, get locked up in a cage, director. Oh, I can sing, I can dance, I can learn the smooth moves. I would do anything you ask me to do. Jump out on the stage, get locked up in a cage, director. Oh, bring it on, director.
I'm also getting increasingly more relaxed about all of my DIY projects as I'm doing them, and you can see here I am just straight up painting these cabinets on top of our wood floors and on top of our rugs. I did have one little oopsies. I don't even know if it's on camera. Maybe it was a second coat of paint, but I did like pull my roller onto this carpet, so do as I say, not as I do, and I definitely kind of am paying the price of a little bit of paint on my carpet by being so relaxed about drop cloths and protecting the other surfaces in my house. Okay, everything is painted and it's time to revive these hinges. These are the H brackets I was talking about before, and they definitely need to be clean because they are on the outside of my cabinets. So I pulled all of these aside, took out my trusty Barkeeper's Friend powder, put them in my sink, and just doused them. I only showed this like first round of cleaning them where I went kind of light on the Barkeeper's Friend, but by like the third round of cleaning hinges, I was just pouring this on like no one's business. Like you could not see the hinges because of how much powder I was using. But all you do is sprinkle them with some water, get them wet, put this powder on, and then scrub, and you will be amazed at how well this product works. I love it for stainless steel and so many things, but these hinges, I did not realize that they would be this like pretty pink coppery color, so I love that. It's too bad that's not the color of the hardware we're going with. We're going to be doing some rub and buff on top of that to turn it to a more similar gold to our hardware color. I laid all the hardware out to dry, including the screws, and then went to work with some Barkeeper's Friend, with, what is this called? Rub and Buff. Guys, I'm sorry. It's very late when I'm doing this voiceover. Rub and Buff. I used the finished gold leaf because it's the brightest gold they offer. I took one of Madeline, my toddler's little crafting paint brushes, and cut most of the bristles off to like create this really short and stubby brush. Sometimes you can just put Rub and Buff on with your finger or a paper towel or a Q-tip, but I found that for all of this like detail work in the hinges and all of like the nooks and crannies of these, using a like really blunt paintbrush was the easiest way to go about it. And then I just got to work covering all of them. You definitely can still see the copper coming through, which I thought was really interesting, but I decided to go with Rub and Buff instead of a spray paint because this was the best finish that I could find. I think the spray paint would have chipped and cracked and not looked as great, whereas the Rub and Buff I think is a little more durable for hardware like this that's going to be moving and flexing and be really just beat up in a kitchen. Now with all the hardware back on, I needed to drill the new holes for all of the pulls and knobs that I had bought from Amazon. I bought also this template to make it super easy to be drilling all of these holes. There's two different kinds of templates in this set. I'll have it linked down below, but this was definitely a necessity for making the kitchen look very clean and even and orderly and not just kind of guessing and drilling and things being all over the place. Definitely recommend this template if you're replacing hardware or building a kitchen or anything like that. It made it so straightforward. It's something that I'm definitely going to have in my toolbox, and I know that Christian's going to probably add it to his too. Now, picking the hardware was actually way harder than I anticipated it being because I wanted to mix it up a little bit. I ended up deciding to do knobs on all of the cabinet doors that were these like round ball shapes. I think they're really like trendy and popular right now, but hardware is always something that's easy to exchange. So I always lean towards a trendier hardware piece because once it's not trendy, you can just unscrew it and replace it. And then for all of the cabinet drawers, we decided to go with this really skinny, more of a modern look, honestly, pull Just super clean, super narrow. It just looks nice. It looks fresh and clean, and I went with this really light gold color, which did not exactly match the hinges, but like I said, we're going for improvement and progress over perfection in this kitchen, and I was not willing to spend all of that money to like perfectly match the hinges and the hardware and all of that together. So it's good enough for me. If it bothers you, I'm sorry, and you will probably let me know about it down in the comments, but it worked out really well. It was hard to match on Amazon actually though, the like gold knobs to the gold pulls. Thankfully, a bunch of Amazon reviews left behind recommendations, and that's where I found these two pairs matched together, and they actually came as like a great deal. So I will link all of that down below too if you're interested in upgrading something in your home. I love these pulls and knobs.
Laid under the willow tree, the last weekend of summer. The empire at our fingertips, the autumn to discover. If I would have had the worthiness to be the perfect lover, would you stay under the willow tree when I asked if you would be? Would you be my Valentine? Would you be my Valentine? Still I lie within the memory, devoted as your lover. You could take my hands and cover your eyes and tell me there's no other. Would you be my Valentine? Would you be my Valentine? Pray to find the right one when the time is right. Would you be my Valentine? Would you be my Valentine?
Now, this will be the moment I realized that Amazon lost one of my drawer pulls. I'm assuming someone bought it and returned it with one less drawer pull in the set. So that started a month-long quest of them replacing it because they suddenly were sold out. It was a whole thing, so we will revisit that later. I also realized I wanted to paint these little inside edges of our cabinets. They had this weird blue vinyl backing that was like the backsplash in this kitchen, and I wanted to just paint it the cabinet color. So I threw some primer on that and then went ahead and started priming this back wallpaper wall. Now, if you remember the wallpaper wall saga in another video where I did another wall of this kitchen and removed it all, it was just a total nightmare. So if you want to watch me struggle with removing wallpaper, go watch that video. Instead, this wall is coming down one day. This in the kitchen makeover, we're just tearing this whole thing open to our dining room, and so I'm not too worried about just painting right over the wallpaper and just doing a good enough job for this for this job. So primer going on first, and then going in with the white paint we're doing all over the house, which is Swiss Coffee. I also realized that it was a mistake to not paint the edges of all the doors and drawers, so I'm going to actually just open up everything in the kitchen one night and give everything 2 coats of paint on the edges just so it looks a little bit better. You could kind of see the dark edges peeking through when all of the cabinets were closed, and this gave it a much more like completed, finished look. the door trim. This is actually a pocket door. I'm not opening that door for you because it's also really gross and old and dusty, but it's a pocket door right here, and I'm just going to carry in the trim color we used in the dining room. You can kind of see it through this view, but the lighting in here is actually super wonky. We're going to replace the lights later on, but it's actually not like the true color. If you look back in there, it's kind of bluish in the dining room because the lights are weird. All that said, the lights are weird. So you can watch our dining room video to see the true color, but it's creamy mushroom, and it's this like taupey, more cool toned base color, and I'm just going to carry that in because that's what's on the other side of this wall, and I really love the look of it in the dining room being the contrast color. Now, I also forgot about this little sliver of wall. I didn't know if I should paint this with the cabinet color or if I should just go with our wall paint, and so I painted it the Swiss coffee that's just all over the rest of the house because it's just like an awkward like piece of the kitchen. Like, I don't know why this whole back wall is not just like cabinets. Instead, they like cut it off halfway down the kitchen so you can have like maybe a breakfast nook table in there or something. I don't know. It's not a good use of space in my opinion, and will be changing once we finally tear this down. Now, I probably should not be saying this at all because it's probably going to dissuade you from watching the rest of this video, but the rest of the kitchen makeover kind of goes a little bit downhill from here on. Like, painting the cabinets in here is the best change we made in this space by far. Like, it's the best upgrade, especially because we started with those really old wood cabinets. So I'm really pleased with how the cabinets turned out, and I'm moving on to now covering up the counters with this peel and stick countertop, and then gonna be doing the backsplash too. The countertops are gross, they're old, they are stained, they are falling apart and literally held together with different bits of masking tape. They are overcaulked and that caulk is cracking, the vinyl is peeling. Like, this is all just a hot mess express back here, so anything on top of it is better than nothing, but it's also not a great fix. All of the peel and stick products I used were kind of like blue toned almost, and so it just didn't warm up the space like I hoped it would. Obviously it's still better and cleaner and fresher, but I don't know if it was really worth all of the effort and money that went into it. Also, I should mention that my electrician husband, actually he's not an electrician, he's just a handyman. Well, he's a contractor. All of the above. He went and upgraded my light switch for me right there in the middle of all of this. But I did go through and do all of the countertop paper, which is very frustrating. I don't know. It just wasn't my favorite. Like, the end product that I had in my mind and what actually ended up happening with the countertops and the backsplash just didn't match up. So I'll still share it all with you. It might be great in your space. There's other colors and options and designs, but in mine, I just don't think it meshed well with the really warm cabinet color I went with. I think it really brought out how like cool toned this countertop paper was. So that's my 10 cents on the last 10 minutes of this video. You guys have seen the best of it by now, so stick around or fast forward to the ending to see it all, or hang out if you want to see how I did the rest of it. I won't judge you either way. Your choice. It's the internet. Isn't that awesome? But I did half of the countertops and then moved on to laying this peel and stick tile. It's actually like super high quality and really easy to work with, so I would recommend it. Just the coloring was a little bit off for me. I almost wish that I went with one of the super basic like pure white Subway tile peel and sticks instead of this one that had a little bit of like a gray tone to it. So once again, better than we started, but just not like the impact I wanted it to really have on the kitchen. Also, I should mention that I did the first half of this wall just using scissors to trim it all, which was fine, but my hand was like literally bruised by the end of the night. So I went ahead on Amazon and ordered like a paper cutter to finish cutting up all of these tiles and like finish the other half of the kitchen. And I was very grateful for that investment for this kind of project. Now these boob lights are not cute, and I was originally just going to change the light bulb in them to have a better light color in the room, but they have these weird like filament, like round bulb things, and so I just asked Christian if he would pretty please replace them with anything else. I found these little lights that are not the cutest ever, but they're flush and almost invisible in the kitchen, like the closest I could get to a recessed light without doing major electrical work in here. And they were wide enough to mostly cover up all of the paint spots that these guys took up. So Christian took all of these old lights out and put the new ones in for me. Now to redo the other half of the kitchen, we had to do some repair work first. Christian pulled out this cool like 2-part glue adhesive thing where you put like super glue in there and spray an activator, and it like instantly bonded the vinyl back to the wall. Why is this peeling off? I wish I could tell you. Probably just because it's really old. But we put that back, and then I just went through the same exact process of stacking my tiles, thankfully cutting it this time with that handy dandy paper cutter. Definitely saved my hands. Like, I am still recovering from the bruises from the scissors of the other project. So that was a better, much better way to manage this project, and definitely just buy this before you start it yourself. I'm kind of going all over the place. I was losing steam. Like, the kitchen had been going on for like a month at this point. Like, I just always knew that I had more to do in the kitchen, but like my toddler was back in our house and it's just hard to get this stuff done. So I was just like hopping to and fro in this project. Like, I was doing a little bit of the counters, a little bit of the backsplash, the lights, some more backsplash. So bear with me while we're not going in like a very pretty order to make this a nice YouTube video. We're just getting done what we need to do, or like what we can find the motivation to actually get done. Now, we haven't paid much attention to this corner of the kitchen because I already did a little makeover here. This is where I took down all of the wallpaper and refreshed the space, and we just call this the microwave table. I have a toaster that I have in one of our cabinets that I pull out every time I need it, and honestly, we use a toaster every single day, so I was just ready for an upgrade, so I got us a nice new 4-slice toaster. We are fancy over here. Put it next to the microwave because it doesn't fit on anywhere else in the kitchen because we have no counter space. Well, I shouldn't say we have no counter space. We don't have a lot. But the microwave table got a little mini makeover here. We finally got in that last drawer pull from Amazon, and it was like time to race to the finish of this project. Like, I just wanted to be done with it. So we had the backsplash done, and it was time to wrap up all of the countertops.
Another tape, another rerun. If this is all you know. Scratching my back and I'll get yours. Keeping tab, tracking the score. You versus me, skeleton dance. Keeping the peace, wringing my hands. I don't ask much of you anymore.
Now every night we're working on this project, there's always like wrapping up and finishing the work and then cleaning up after yourself. So getting that done, also going to be rolling up and throwing out this old rag. I got a new anti-fatigue mat that is squishy and comfy and clean, which I'm really excited about. And then something else I'm super amped for in this kitchen is this little rechargeable lamp. We don't have a ton of outlets in the kitchen, like every single outlet is actually like always plugged in, and so I have to unplug stuff to like use other appliances, which is annoying. So I found Amazon sells a rechargeable lamp. It has a little USB port, and so I don't need any plugs, and I just love like the cozy warm feel it gives to the kitchen when it's turned on. So that's a cute little touch just to make it feel like a nicer, more modern, more of like our kind of kitchen. And so that's the last thing I'm doing in this video. I cleaned it mostly for these outro shots for you guys, but we've been living in it, so bear with me that there are some dishes out and whatnot. But here's the final look at our kitchen. It's a little sad beige mom, a little bit bland and boring, but it's clean and it's fresh, and I can't see any peeling vinyl, and that's a big one in my book in this space. So let me know if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!